Now that you've done the layout for your drawing, it's time to start adding in the shadows. And the thing about drawing with these markers is that they have a very thin line. And we're going to use some of those techniques we practiced with the value scales to create gradations that go from dark to light. Now, if you remember back then, we had 4 value scales: hatch, crosshatch, dots, or the stipple effect, and random lines. And what I want to talk about is crosshatch. We used straight lines going different directions. Now, the nice thing about crosshatching is the lines don't have to be straight. All right? So if I have a rounded object like that's the handle of my drill, I can actually slightly curve the lines. And what that does is it starts to make the rounded feel of the object rather than using straight lines. If you use only straight lines as part of your cross hatching, you're going to create a flatter looking area. Rounded lines will help create the illusion that this is an object that's moving in the round. So on my drawing, the handle of the drill is definitely rounded, meant to fit in there. And I've got a dramatic light coming towards the front, so I know that I'm going to have a very dark shadow on this back half, and it's definitely the area that is black. So I'm just going to start by using some curved hatch, curved lines, to lay in the shadow work. And again, I'm going to use some curved lines in a different direction to reinforce the roundness of the object, but at the same time to darken that area. And the idea is, towards the back of the handle, I want it to be really dark. And then as we move over, it's going to get light because I have a highlight on the front end. Alright, and I'm going to build it up slowly. You can already see that we're starting to get much darker on that back side. The other thing you're going to notice is as I build up this crosshatch, that initial outline I started with is fading away. This is moving from being an outline of a shape to a form. Alright, now the nice thing about the markers we have is the same way that we're going to crosshatch using the markers to create the tone, but the markers are slightly more transparent. So they will be even more effective with showing that line work. And again, we're using that to build up the areas that are really dark. We're thinking about the direction we're drawing because we're going to see those directional marks in this. And we're thinking about the spacing of it. The closer the lines are together, the darker it looks. I can keep overlapping to make something look even darker. Because remember, we're not doing like a coloring book where we're just solid color in an area. We're trying to create tone. We're trying to create the illusion of depth. We're trying to create the feeling that this is a rounded object, that it flows in space. It's not going to look entirely real because at some point, it is lines. but it's going to create the illusion, which is what we're looking for. We want the viewer to fill in the gaps on the drawing and not worry so much about coloring every little bit in a certain way. Your viewer will be able to see this, and their mind will actually put it together, and it will trick them into thinking things are dark and light and everything like that. All right, so you should continue to build up the shadows. You should be thinking about your background, whether you're going to have more objects in there, other things going on, or you're going to do that flat gradation. And that is using crosshatching to create form and shadows. Good luck.